Picture this. It's a little after 7 in the morning. The coffee pot is doing its thing. You're standing at the kitchen counter in your robe, maybe your slippers, and there it is, that small orange bottle you've picked up almost every single day for the last 5, 10, maybe 15 years. Amlodipine, Losartan, Lisinopril, or some combination of them. You shake one out into your palm, you swallow it with whatever's closest, coffee, orange juice, tap water, and you move on with your morning. And that's exactly where the problem begins. Because here's what almost no one tells you when they hand you that prescription. The pill itself is only half the story. The other half, the half that decides whether that medication protects your heart or quietly works against it, is the 30 minutes that surround it. What you drink with it, what you eat before it, how fast you stand up after it, whether you took an ibuprofen the night before, whether you doubled up because you forgot yesterday, whether you sprinkled a heart-healthy salt substitute on your eggs. Every one of those things changes how your medication behaves in your body. And after age 60, the margin for error gets thinner. Your kidneys don't filter the way they used to. Your blood vessels don't bounce back the way they used to. Your body holds on to medication longer, reacts to it faster, and forgives you less when something's off. I'm not here to scare you off your blood pressure pills. These 3 medications, Amlodipine, Losartan, and Lisinopril, are some of the most effective, most studied, most life-saving drugs in modern medicine. Millions of Americans are alive today because of them. That's not up for debate. What is up for debate, and what almost nobody talks about, is the routine around the pill. Because in clinic after clinic, in emergency room after emergency room, doctors are seeing the same pattern. Seniors on the right medication, at the right dose, prescribed by the right doctor, ending up dizzy, exhausted, with swollen ankles, with a slow pulse, with a kidney reading that suddenly looks off. And the medication gets blamed. Or worse, aging gets blamed. But when you look closer, the medication isn't the problem. The morning is. There are 7 specific mistakes that seniors make every single morning with these 3 drugs. Some of them are so common that if I had to guess, you're making at least 3 of them right now. One of them is so dangerous that cardiologists specifically warn against it, and yet the pharmacist rarely mentions it. And one of them is a habit so ordinary, so innocent, so healthy sounding, that you'd never suspect it's the thing quietly turning your medication into a problem. We're going to walk through all 7, one by one. Not in a lecture, not in a textbook way, in the way it actually happens, in your kitchen, at your counter, with your bottle in your hand. And by the end of this, you're going to look at that little orange bottle a little differently tomorrow morning. Let's start with the first mistake, and it's the one that hides inside something you probably drink every single day. Let's start with the glass in your hand, because whatever you're using to wash that pill down in the morning, that liquid is not neutral. It's not just a delivery vehicle. It interacts with the medication. And with these 3 drugs, the wrong drink can either weaken the pill, delay it, or, in one specific case, make it dangerously strong. Let's start with the one almost every senior in America has heard of but still gets wrong. Grapefruit. If you're taking amlodipine, and amlodipine is the little pill millions of Americans take for blood pressure, often 5 or 10 milligrams, grapefruit is not your friend. Not the fruit itself, not the juice, not even that grapefruit sparkling water people have started drinking. Here's why. Grapefruit contains compounds that block a specific enzyme in your gut, an enzyme your body uses to break down amlodipine. When that enzyme is blocked, the medication builds up in your bloodstream at levels higher than your doctor prescribed. Suddenly, a 10 milligram dose can act more like a 15 or 20 milligram dose. Your blood pressure drops harder than intended. You feel dizzy. You feel weak. You may feel your heart pounding. And most people never connected to the grapefruit half they ate at breakfast. Now, here's the part that catches people off guard. This effect can last up to 24 hours, sometimes longer. So the idea that you can just take the pill in the morning and eat grapefruit at lunch, that's a myth. If you're on amlodipine, grapefruit and blood pressure pills don't share a day. Period. Now, what about coffee? This one is more subtle. Coffee itself doesn't chemically clash with lisinopril or losartan the way grapefruit does with amlodipine, but caffeine temporarily spikes your blood pressure. So if you're checking your pressure right after coffee or right after the pill, you're reading a number that isn't the real one. And more importantly, if you swallow your lisinopril with a big cup of hot coffee on an empty stomach, some seniors report a sharper drop-off feeling an hour later when the caffeine wears off and the medication is peaking. It's not dangerous for most people, but it's uncomfortable, and it's avoidable. Then there's the empty stomach trap, and this one matters most with losartan. Losartan doesn't require food, but taking it on a completely bone-dry stomach, especially if you skip dinner the night before, or you're one of those seniors who isn't really a breakfast person, can lead to a faster, harder drop in pressure. Your body already runs a little dehydrated overnight. Add a blood pressure medication into an empty tank, and the room can start to tilt on you around 9 or 10 in the morning. The fix here is not complicated. Water. Plain, room temperature water. A full glass. Ideally with a small something in your stomach. Even half a piece of toast. Even a few crackers. Save the coffee for 20 or 30 minutes later. And if you're on amlodipine, keep grapefruit off the menu entirely. That's mistake number 1. And it's the easiest one to fix by tomorrow morning. But the drink is only part of it. Because even if you get the drink right, there's a second decision most seniors get wrong without realizing it. And that's the clock on the wall. Here's a question your doctor probably never asked you. What time do you actually take your blood pressure pill? For most Americans, the answer is some version of in the morning, with breakfast, whenever I remember. And for decades, that was the standard advice. Take it in the morning, get it out of the way, move on with your day. But something quietly shifted in the research over the last few years, and it's a shift most patients still haven't been told about. Here's the reality of how blood pressure actually behaves in the body. It doesn't stay flat. It rises and falls in a pattern called your circadian rhythm. And for the vast majority of people, the most dangerous window of the day isn't noon, and it isn't dinner time. It's the pre-dawn surge, that stretch between about 4 in the morning and 8 in the morning, when your body is preparing to wake up. Your pressure climbs, your heart rate climbs, and that's the exact window when most heart attacks and most strokes actually happen. Now think about the timing of your pill. If you take Lisinopril or Losartan at 7 or 8 in the morning, the medication doesn't hit peak effectiveness for another 4 to 6 hours, which means during that dangerous pre-dawn surge, the window when your body is most vulnerable, your medication levels are at their lowest. You're essentially unprotected during the riskiest hours of the day. This is why a growing number of cardiologists in the United States are having a very different conversation with their patients. They're asking a simple question: what if you took it at night instead? A large study out of Spain and follow-up work by American researchers found that many patients who moved their blood pressure medication from morning to bedtime saw significantly better blood pressure control overnight and into that vulnerable early morning window. Some studies suggested lower rates of cardiovascular events. Not for everyone, not in every case, but enough that the conversation has changed. Now here's where I want to be careful with you. Do not, and I mean do not, move your pill from morning to night on your own. Some medications, especially certain diuretics, absolutely should stay in the morning. Some people get side effects at night they don't get in the morning. Amlodipine in particular has a long half-life, so timing matters less with that one. Lisinopril and Losartan are the two where the conversation is most active. But here's what you can do. The next time you sit across from your doctor, ask this exact question. Given my numbers and my history, would I do better taking this at night instead of the morning? That single question has changed the treatment plan for thousands of American seniors in the last few years. And here's the deeper point. The timing of your pill isn't just about convenience. It's about matching the medication to when your body actually needs it most. Getting that wrong can leave you exposed at the exact hours you should be most protected. But even if you fix the drink, and even if you fix the timing, there's still a third mistake. And this one happens in the first 10 minutes after the pill goes down. Let me describe a moment you've probably lived 100 times without thinking twice about it. You take your pill, you finish your water. Maybe you glance at the clock, maybe you check your phone. And then you turn, quickly, to grab something off the counter, or you push off the chair to head to the bathroom, or you bend down to pet the dog. And for a split second, the room shifts. Your vision grays at the edges. You catch the counter. You steady yourself. You mutter something like, "Whoa, got up too fast." And you go on with your day. And here's what almost every senior in America gets wrong about that moment. That is not aging. That is your medication doing exactly what it was designed to do. Lower your blood pressure, combined with a movement your body can no longer compensate for the way it used to. It has a name. Doctors call it orthostatic hypotension, and in older adults on amlodipine, Losartan, or Lisinopril, it is one of the leading hidden causes of falls in this country. Here's what's actually happening inside you. When you're lying down or sitting, blood pools comfortably in your lower body. The moment you stand up, gravity pulls that blood downward, and your body has to react instantly. Squeeze the blood vessels, speed up the heart, push the blood back up to your brain. In a younger body, this happens in a fraction of a second and you never notice. In a body over 60, especially on a blood pressure medication, that reaction is slower, softer. Sometimes it barely happens at all. And for a few seconds, sometimes 10, sometimes 20, your brain doesn't get quite enough blood. That's the gray out. That's the wobble. That's the near fall. And here's the part that should stop you cold. The window right after you take your pill, especially in the first 30 to 90 minutes, is when this effect is strongest. That's when the medication is climbing to peak levels in your bloodstream. It's also, unfortunately, exactly when most seniors are moving the most, getting ready, going to the bathroom, going to the kitchen, going down the stairs. Falls in Americans over 65 are not a small problem. They are one of the leading causes of hospitalization, of hip fractures, of permanent decline, and a huge percentage of them trace back to a moment exactly like the one I just described. Stood up too fast, turned too quickly, reached too suddenly. The fix, thankfully, is not complicated. It's a rule doctors call the 3 count. When you go from lying down to sitting, pause for a count of 3 before you stand. When you go from sitting to standing, pause again for a count of 3 before you walk. And if you feel that first flicker of lightheadedness, do not push through it. Sit back down, wait, let your body catch up. That one small habit, practiced every single morning, prevents more emergency room visits than most people realize. But dizziness is only one warning your body might be sending you, because there's another mistake, one that happens hours later, not minutes, and it's the one that quietly puts your kidneys in the crosshairs. Now we come to the mistake that hospital doctors talk about the most, and patients understand the least. Think about the last time your knee acted up, or your back, or your shoulder, or one of those mornings when you woke up stiff and something just wasn't right. What did you reach for? For most Americans over 60, the answer is a small brown bottle in the medicine cabinet. Ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, Aleve, naproxen, or the old faithful, a plain aspirin. These are called NSAIDs, which stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. They're sold on every drugstore shelf in this country. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a warning label to be handed to you. You just grab the bottle, shake out a pill or two, and swallow them down. And if you're on Lisinopril or Losartan, that's the moment a chain reaction starts inside your body that most people have no idea about. Here's what happens. Lisinopril and Losartan work by relaxing your blood vessels and telling your kidneys to release extra sodium in water. That's how they lower your pressure. NSAIDs, ibuprofen, naproxen, all of them do almost the exact opposite. They tell your kidneys to hold on to sodium in water. They tighten certain blood vessels, including the tiny ones inside the kidneys themselves. So when you take an NSAID on top of your blood pressure medication, 3 bad things happen at the same time. Number 1, your blood pressure medication becomes less effective. Some studies show ibuprofen can raise blood pressure by 5 to 10 points in people already on medication. That may not sound like much, but if you're right at the edge, that's the difference between controlled and uncontrolled. Number 2, your kidneys get squeezed from both sides. The blood pressure medication is pushing them one direction. The NSAID is pushing them the other. And your kidneys, after age 60, don't have the reserve they used to. Doctors have a name for what can happen. It's called acute kidney injury. And in seniors, it can happen quietly, over just a few days of regular ibuprofen use, without a single dramatic symptom, until the blood test comes back looking wrong. Number 3, fluid starts to back up. You may notice your ankles look a little puffier, your rings feel tighter, your shoes don't fit quite right by evening. Most people blame the weather or the salt in dinner, but sometimes it's the ibuprofen you took for your knee 3 days in a row. Now here's what nobody tells you. This isn't about one pill. One ibuprofen on a rare bad day, for most people, is not a crisis. The danger is the pattern. It's the senior who takes 2 Aleve every morning for arthritis. It's the man who pops ibuprofen every night to sleep through back pain. It's the woman who keeps a bottle in her purse, her car, and her nightstand. Regular use. That's what quietly damages the kidneys and drives blood pressure up. So what do you do if you're in pain? First, talk to your doctor before making NSAIDs a daily habit. Second, for occasional pain, acetaminophen, Tylenol, does not have the same effect on blood pressure medications or kidneys, though it has its own limits with the liver. It's often the safer choice for seniors on Lisinopril or Losartan. Third, if you absolutely must take an NSAID for a short period, tell your doctor, drink plenty of water, and keep it brief. This one mistake, this one bottle in the medicine cabinet, sends more seniors to the emergency room every year than almost any other medication interaction in America. And believe it or not, there's a mistake even sneakier than this one, because the next one hides inside something you were told was healthy. A senior gets diagnosed with high blood pressure. The doctor says the words every patient hears: cut back on salt. So off comes the salt shaker. In its place goes a shiny new container from the grocery store, one of those heart-healthy salt substitutes. No salt, new salt, Morton salt substitute. The label looks reassuring. Low sodium, doctor recommended, heart-friendly. So you sprinkle it on your eggs, your soup, your baked potato, your popcorn, with a clean conscience. And here's what almost nobody tells you. Most of those salt substitutes are not really salt-free. They swap out sodium chloride for potassium chloride. And if you're taking Lisinopril or Losartan, potassium is exactly the mineral your medication is quietly causing your body to hold on to. Let me explain why this matters. Because it's one of the most under-discussed dangers in senior blood pressure care. Lisinopril and Losartan belong to two drug families, ACE inhibitors and ARBs. Both of them, as part of how they lower your pressure, tell your kidneys to hold on to potassium instead of flushing it out. In a normal, controlled situation, that's fine. Your body manages it. But start pouring extra potassium in through the diet, potassium chloride salt substitute on everything, plus bananas every morning, plus orange juice, plus tomatoes, plus potatoes, plus spinach, plus supplements marketed as electrolyte support, and the level can climb higher than your body can handle. Doctors call that condition hyperkalemia, high potassium in the blood. And here's the terrifying part. It has almost no symptoms until it becomes dangerous. You might feel a little tired, a little weak. Maybe your heart feels like it skips now and then. Then, without much warning, potassium can disrupt the electrical signals of your heart and cause a rhythm problem serious enough to land you in the emergency room, or worse. Now, I don't want you throwing out your bananas. A banana a day is not going to hurt most people. Neither is a normal serving of spinach or an orange. Real food, in normal amounts, is not the enemy. The problem is the combination. The salt substitute plus the daily banana, plus the electrolyte drink, plus the potassium for heart health supplement your neighbor recommended. That's when the math starts working against you. Here's what to do instead. First, if you're on Lisinopril or Losartan, read the label on any salt substitute before you buy it. If it says potassium chloride, put it back on the shelf. Ask your doctor about safer seasoning options, herbs, lemon, garlic, vinegar-based blends. Second, do not start any potassium supplement on your own, no matter how healthy it sounds. Third, at your next appointment, ask this one question. When was the last time we checked my potassium level? If it's been more than a year, ask for the test. It's a simple blood draw. It can catch a problem before you ever feel it. And here's the reframe that matters most. You were told salt is the enemy. That's only half true. On these medications, the other half of the story is the mineral that quietly replaces it. Getting that wrong, for months, for years, can be more dangerous than the salt ever was. But there's still one more mistake we haven't touched, and it's the one seniors make with the best of intentions. Now here's the mistake almost everybody makes at some point, and it comes from a good place. You wake up, you go through your morning, you have your breakfast, you head out to run errands, and somewhere around 11 o'clock, maybe over lunch, maybe in the car, it hits you. You forgot to take your pill this morning. Your first thought is completely understandable. I need to catch up. I'll take today's dose now, and I'll take tomorrow's on time. Or worse, I'll just take 2 tomorrow morning to make up for it. Please, listen to me carefully. Do not do that. With Amlodipine, Losartan, and Lisinopril, doubling up is not catching up. Doubling up is stacking a full dose of a powerful blood pressure medication on top of the next full dose your body was already going to receive. And in an older adult, that can crash your blood pressure to a level your body cannot compensate for. We're talking severe dizziness, fainting, falls. In some cases, an emergency room visit for what started as a well-meaning attempt to stay on schedule. Here's the general rule doctors follow, though you should always confirm it with your own physician. If you remember your missed dose within a few hours of your normal time, it's usually safe to take it then and continue as normal the next day. But if it's late in the day, say, more than half the day has passed, the safer move for most people is to skip the missed dose entirely and simply take your next scheduled dose at the regular time. One missed day, for most patients on stable therapy, is not a catastrophe. A double dose can be. And here's the deeper truth about missed doses. If you're missing them often, twice a week, 3 times a week, that's not a memory problem to feel bad about. That's a signal that your system needs a small upgrade. A weekly pill organizer from any drugstore, a phone alarm set for the same time every morning, a note taped to the coffee maker, a habit stacked onto brushing your teeth, whatever works for you. The goal is not to punish yourself for forgetting. The goal is to build a routine that doesn't rely on memory in the first place. Because one missed pill, handled correctly, is a small blip. One doubled pill, taken with the best of intentions, can be the mistake that lands you in the hospital. But there is one more mistake, and it may be the most important one of all. Because this one is not about what you do wrong. It's about the one thing almost every senior forgets to do at all. Here's the 7th mistake. And it's not something you're doing, it's something you're not doing. Ask yourself this. Before you took your pill this morning, did you check your blood pressure? Did you check your pulse? For most Americans over 60, the honest answer is no. Not today, not yesterday, maybe not this month. You take the pill because the doctor said to. You trust it's working. And you find out how it's actually going once every 3 or 6 months when you sit down in that chair and the nurse wraps the cuff around your arm. That gap, that 3 to 6 month gap, is where problems hide. Here's the truth about blood pressure. It's not a static number. It shifts with stress, with dehydration, with sleep, with the seasons, with your weight, with other medications, and with age. The dose that worked perfectly for you 2 years ago may be a little too strong today, or a little too weak, and you would never know because you're not looking. The fix is astonishingly simple: a home blood pressure monitor. You can buy a reliable one at any pharmacy in America for somewhere between $30 and $60. Look for a cuff-style monitor that wraps around your upper arm, not the wrist ones, which are less accurate for seniors. Put it on the kitchen counter next to your pill bottle. And every morning, before you take your pill, sit quietly for a minute, put the cuff on, and take a reading. 60 seconds. That's all it takes. And what you learn in those 60 seconds can change everything. If your pressure is already unusually low that morning, that's information your doctor needs. If your pulse is unusually slow, under 50 say, that's information your doctor needs, especially on amlodipine. If you notice your numbers running low for several days in a row, that's a conversation worth having before you fall, not after. Write the numbers down. A small notebook next to the monitor works fine. Bring it to every doctor's appointment. What you'll be handing your doctor is not just a number, it's a pattern. And patterns are how the best medication adjustments get made. This one habit, this 60-second check every morning, is what separates the seniors who stay in control of their health from the ones who get controlled by it. And now that you know all 7 mistakes, the question is what you do with them starting tomorrow morning. So let's bring this home. Tomorrow morning, you're going to walk into your kitchen. The coffee pot will be doing its thing. That little orange bottle will be sitting where it always sits. And you're going to have a choice most seniors never get to make, because most seniors were never told there was a choice to begin with. You're going to skip the grapefruit. You're going to pour a full glass of plain water. You're going to have a little something in your stomach before the pill goes down. You're going to wait a beat before you stand, and another beat before you walk. You're going to think twice before you reach for that ibuprofen for your knee. You're going to look at your salt substitute label. You're going to leave the doubling up rescue plan behind. And you're going to spend 60 seconds with a blood pressure cuff before you swallow that pill. None of this is about fear. It's about respect for the medication, for your body, and for the years you've earned. Amlodipine, Losartan, and Lisinopril are not the enemy. They are, for millions of Americans, the reason we get to see grandchildren graduate and anniversaries come around again. The pill is doing its job. Our job is to build a morning routine that lets it do that job safely. If this video helped you see your morning in a new way, share it with someone you love who takes these medications. A spouse, a brother, a neighbor, a friend from church. One of these 7 mistakes may be the one that changes their year. And before your next doctor's appointment, write down the questions this video raised for you. Bring the list. Bring your numbers. Be the patient your doctor loves to see. Take care of yourself. Tomorrow morning starts everything.